Shalom, everyone. We previously touched on lineage and inheritance from John 14, told by Jesus to his disciples, and both are pivotal to our understanding of the rapture, and here's why. In our classical view of the rapture, along with salvation, both views place our eternal existence in heaven. And what do we know about heaven? Well, it's the unseen place where God dwells, and this is where we're said to go when we die, right?
Now, nowhere in the Bible do we find a physical description of heaven other than the throne of God, and it is filled with heavenly beings. Yet in our imagination of places or things in heaven, we normally associate heaven with the best of places here on earth. For instance, I've commonly heard it said at a person's memorial service, he or she is probably now experiencing heaven's finest places that we've enjoyed here on earth. In other words, if your passion was golfing, you're now likely at heaven's finest golf course. However, the Bible makes a clear distinction in Psalm 115 about heaven and earth. Starting in verse 15, may you be blessed by Adonai, maker of heaven and earth. The heavens are the heavens of Adonai, but the earth he gave to the children of men. So, we end up associating earthly things or placing substance into the unseen place where God dwells. And we don't find a clear, detailed description of heaven anywhere in the Bible. Now, if some of you are thinking about the pearly gates and the streets made of gold, many of us don't stop to consider this is a description of the New Jerusalem in Revelation chapter 21, and it's coming out of heaven down to the earth. Now, in the classical rapture doctrine, those raptured and taken up to heaven are said to return with Jesus in the clouds to reign here with him on earth for 1,000 years. And here is where things get murky.
Will it be a 1,000-year utopia where the lion lays down with the lamb and sin and death are instantaneously conquered? It's said there won't be any more tears and the remembrance of pain and suffering are all removed. Well, these descriptions come from Isaiah, and doesn't that sound a lot like heaven? And aren't these descriptions taking place here on the earth during the 1,000-year reign of Christ? And if at the end of 1,000 years, Satan is released from wherever he is locked up and we have another Armageddon, wouldn't it require the free will of mortal men who are still bound to sin who decide to follow Satan? And again, it's all happening here on the earth. So this means we have an issue with the utopian world, and it's not heaven. Now, after the devil and his angels are cast into the sea of fire, we see a new heaven and a new earth in Revelation 21, verse 1 through 2. And the New Jerusalem is coming out of heaven, and God dwells in and among mankind here on the earth. Now, does this mean we are now in heaven? Obviously not in the classical sense of heaven where God exists outside of time and space. No, what we're told in Revelation 21 is that John saw a new heaven and a new earth. So in essence, we see this is God's world of creation. And this is the place where God dwells within man and our eternal existence is on earth. We can understand and get a clearer picture when recognizing our lot is within Messiah's lineage and inheritance. And this began well before John's revelation. It's been God's plan and purpose from the beginning. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob will dwell in and among the world of creation.
In Genesis 12:3, God promises to bless those who bless Abraham, ultimately all nations. And in Genesis 17:7, this covenant made between God and Abraham is said to be an everlasting covenant. The word in Hebrew is olam, meaning eternal, everlasting, or perpetual, and forever. And from Psalm 145:13, the psalm read every day, 3 times a day by the Jewish people, since before the Second Temple times. Your kingdom is an eternal kingdom, and your dominion endures through all generations. In Hebrew, the word for eternal, again, is olam. The sages of Israel say reciting and praying Psalm 145 regularly guarantees a person's place in God's eternal kingdom here on earth. And in Psalm 2, King David prophesying concerning the Messiah says, I will declare the decree of Adonai. He said to me, you are my son. Today I have become your father. Ask me, and I will give the nations as your inheritance, and the far reaches of the earth as your possession. Meaning, followers of Yeshua in Second Temple times understood the language of lineage and inheritance in Messiah Yeshua. And if Yeshua promised they would gain their inheritance through his lineage, what would that be?
Is it some kind of ethereal, out-of-this-world eternity that we can't relate to? No. Yeshua's inheritance are the nations and the far reaches of the earth. God's eternal substance in the world of creation. Wow. The Apostle Paul Rav Shaul knew this when he said in Ephesians chapter 2, verse 12, remember that at that time you were separated from Christ, excluded from any relationship with him, alienated from the commonwealth of Israel, and strangers to the covenants of promise, with no share in the sacred Messianic promise and without knowledge of God's agreements, having no hope in his promise and living in the world without God. When we stitch together the first century ideology, mindset, and understanding of eternity and beliefs, this begins to redefine our understanding of what we believe about the rapture. Our hope isn't in a heaven we can't define. We have an eternal hope here in God's world of creation, in Yeshua. And if we're truly born again, then we have been grafted into his lineage and have a share in his inheritance, which again are the far reaches of the earth. So if we can receive in our spirit a revelation concerning eternity here on earth, we will begin to see a different view of the rapture. An event that doesn't remove us from the earth, but completes a partnership and a share in Yeshua's kingdom. We invite you to keep joining us as we continue to investigate the mystery of the rapture as it corresponds with the Torah, God's calendar, and patterns. Shalom.